recorded for PodJack95. Guest Billy, Anxiety United.
Yes.
There he is. He's there. How are you?
I'm not too bad, man. I'm not too bad. I was thinking that this weren't going to happen this week. I've had a rough week. Rough week. I'm thinking of doing a video myself about it, like being ill.
Yeah.
Not knowing whether it's an illness or anxiety that's making me feel worse. So.
Do you think that, obviously, because you're always hosting, do you think it's been different thinking about being on the other side, or have you been on the other side a few more times?
No, this is the first time I've ever done anybody else's podcast. Like, I've done videos with other people, and it's gone on their channel and stuff, but you're the guy asking the questions. I like it.
I am hopefully going to be asking a few questions.
I'm ready.
But,
I'm ready.
We'll see where it goes. Ow, pulled my headphones on. So, yeah. What? So, obviously, we said it weren't going to happen this week, or you thought about it. What have you been feeling leading up to this?
I had a rough couple of days, man. I don't know, just normal anxiety symptoms, but sore throat, runny nose, the COVID stuff, the symptoms. But when you've got anxiety, like, you just escalate those things. So it becomes so much more than it actually is. Has COVID made it a lot worse? It did at first. I was consuming myself with the news because it's on like 24 hours a day. You can put Sky News on, you can put freaking GMB on, Good Morning Britain. And it's just all they're talking about. And I did that for the first few weeks. And I could feel my stress levels rising. But then I just made a conscious decision. I was like, no more news. I just completely stopped watching it, and it kind of helped. But I was having crazy dreams and all sorts.
I think a lot of people have gone through crazy dreams at this point. I don't know what that is. I haven't. My dreams are crazy before this.
It's just elevated stress, isn't it? It's elevated stress. You've got more stress chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol running through your freaking veins all day long. Yeah. And then you go into bed and you just can't switch off. But I was researching sleep the other day, and apparently we sleep in 90-minute intervals anyway. So everybody sleeps for 90 minutes, and then you wake up. You might not wake up and be aware that you're awake, but we sleep in 90-minute intervals. So perhaps if you're like, I don't know, if you've had a busy day, stressful day, and then you wake up after that 90 minutes and like you become more aware that you're awake, and then you have to try and get back to sleep again. Whereas usually you just wake up, maybe turn over in bed, fart, burp, whatever, you know, and then you go back to sleep and you don't even know. Like when you say that, I slept solid last night. No, you didn't.
You actually woke up loads of times.
90-minute intervals. That's the way that it works.
And that's why you have different dreams throughout one night.
Yeah, I've been having some crazy dreams recently. I was at a theme park, naked, wrapped in a duvet.
And that was definitely a dream.
It was a dream, I can assure you. I wouldn't have took a duvet.
Wow, but you'd have done the naked bit.
Yeah. Why not?
That's mad. I've had some weird dreams. Some dreams I probably can't even talk about. I've had dreams.
Yeah, probably best not to.
No, I won't. What? So, like, obviously, do you still watch the news, or do you scrap that?
I watch it now and again. Like, you can get enough of the information within like 2 minutes. You can go on the Sky News app, get what you need to know, and then just on with your day.
Relaxes you a tiny bit.
Because it's
It's like not knowing as well what it is as well, isn't it? Nobody actually knows what's going on.
Yeah, but the mainstream media are blowing it, I'm sure, way out of proportion, man. There's something. We ain't being told everything.
Yeah, there's something going on. I've always thought about making I wanted to make a TV program called Good News, where it's just news about good stuff.
But bad news sells, doesn't it? And that's why they do it. Like, they hit on something. Yeah. I didn't want to offend anybody, so I'm using this mug today.
Isn't that just a United mug? It almost looks like it says United with the C at the start.
Yeah, because you can't really see the handle properly, can you? My son bought me that for Christmas. Little fucker.
Wow. Do you reckon he thinks that?
Probably. I think he was trying to tell me something. Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about, obviously you're on here with Anxiety United. That's what you do, your podcast. How long have you been going through that?
So I started Anxiety United, the project, because I've never known what to call it. Like, it's not a charity, it's not an organisation, it's not a non-profit really, it's a project. Started it 6 years ago. I think it was in January. Yeah. And the reason that I started it was because I was in a way better place than I'd been. Because I've had anxiety now for, I think, 16 years, issues. And I don't know if we go over my freaking history. We
Did it
probably
just
should.
go up and down throughout them 16 years, or?
Yeah. It's been like I've been housebound, agoraphobic. Like that's the term for that when you're scared of leaving your own home.
Okay, yeah.
Some people are scared of leaving their own room. Like they'll just be confined to a room. So I've been through that. I was like that for, I don't know, 6 to 9 months or so. Just didn't, like, I don't think you even knew because you were probably young, like 16 years ago. And I was really good at masking it. So, like, I could just talk to people normally and they would never have any idea.
How you feeling?
My head is freaking on a spin cycle.
Yeah.
So it's mad. So I went through all my stuff and I made progress doing my own stuff. Like I had CBT on the NHS and hypnotherapy and private therapy. But I managed to get myself to a place like myself. I did the work myself. Started Anxiety United because I wanted to try and help other people, like share my freaking message. And then, I don't know, the more I seemed to concentrate on anxiety, the more I was thinking about it, and then I started to feel it again.
Get worse.
Yeah. I think like that's the issue for me.
What was the therapy like?
So because I was in such a bad place when I first went for therapy, I think we'll go back. Like my issue started because I had a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like I was stoned. Let's just get that out there. I smoked weed. I was on my own at home. Well, I had my lad with me, Josh. You know, he was about 4 years old, and I was playing on the Xbox, and I just had this mad, just weird, crazy sensation. Like my head just didn't feel right, and then I started panicking. Like I'd never panicked before, and never knew what. Obviously,
so it's all new to you.
Yeah, I knew nothing about it, and it was horrific, man. I thought I was going to die in that moment. I just thought, like, this is it.
Whoa.
I was like splashing water on my face, drinking cold water. I went outside. I thought fresh air might help.
Just to get rid of it.
Yeah, to try and stop whatever was happening to me happening. But it didn't stop. It's mad. When I talk about it, I can feel it. Like that's you never forget your first panic attack.
Yeah, remember what it felt, exactly what it felt like.
It's horrific. I remember just lying on the bathroom floor. Well, before that, I went into Josh because he was staying. I was living at my old man's. Went into my son. He was asleep, and kissed him on the forehead, and just thought, like, this. I'm not going to see him again.
Whoa!
Like this is it. I'm out of here. That's how real it felt at the time.
Jeez.
And then I just lay on the bathroom floor, phoned my dad, told him to come home from work because, like, I don't know what the fuck's happening. I need someone to come and look after Josh. And that was it. And then, I don't know, like, that passed. Next day, I was...
What, did you fall asleep sort of thing?
Yeah, eventually fell asleep after, like, shaking for hours and going hot and cold and just all the normal symptoms of panic. And then the next day, it'd be fine. Like, I'd have a bit of residual anxiety, like, thinking, what if that happens again? And then, of course, it would happen again. And that's where the issue started for me. It became a disorder because I was just experiencing panic.
More and more.
Yeah, and it became, I have a fear of panic attacks. Like that is what becomes of the disorder. You develop an anxiety disorder when you have a fear of anxiety and a fear of panic. So I noticed that Bo said in the podcast that you did with him that everybody experiences anxiety and depression, and that's true. Like anxiety and nervousness, that's the same thing. But not everybody experiences an anxiety disorder, and that's the difference between like you getting nervous for a job interview and me getting nervous watching EastEnders. There's no rational reason for me to be freaking out sitting at home, but it's a disorder because you experience a sensation and then you start to panic about it. You just add more fear. Yeah. And that's the disorder.
Is that what it is? Do you think fear, like the fear of something like everyone has the anxiety and like say gets nervous, but no one's got the actual fear of
it's the irrational fear of, for me personally, it's an irrational fear of physical sensations. Like that's my issue. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like I was agoraphobic. I couldn't go to the local shop. I couldn't do anything. I don't go to supermarkets now. Like 16 years on.
Well, yeah, that's it. I watched the video earlier, and it was 10 years ago, I think you done it. And it was when you went to the supermarket. Tallulah was in it, and you went.
Yeah, I was freaking out. She had to get a costume for
World Book Day.
Yeah, that's right.
She was about this big as well.
Yeah, it was pathetic. I wanted her to buy the John Cena one, but she wouldn't have it.
I'm sure my brother would have had that one somewhere. But even like
that was rough.
The thing that I realised about that video, like you say that I kind of never realise, because I wasn't around you as much as she was, but she knew as well. She was there. She was trying to help you at the same time.
Come on, Dad. You'll be all right. Yeah. Well, she's grown up around it. Same as Josh. Like he was four when I first experienced it. He's probably the best person that knows how to deal with me.
Yeah.
Like
well, you've done a podcast with him as well, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. He's talked about it, and like it must be weird for them growing up because it's never been normal.
Yeah.
Like I've never been abroad. Like I'm freaking 40 years old and I've never been abroad. I mean, I could have gone before I had anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't, but now it's just like major issue. You asked me about therapy. That's where I was going.
What I was going to say, that the first time it ever happened when you say you were lying on the bathroom floor, has there been a time where it's been like that again, or the same?
Mm-hmm.
Or
yeah,
do you
I
know
had
more about it?
So I still have those experiences. I had one of those on, it might have been Tuesday morning this week. I woke up and I thought I was dying. Like I didn't feel well. My vision was weird. I felt off balance because I've experienced vertigo before, and that like vertigo is horrific. I don't know if you ever had it.
What's gone?
Vertigo. It's like it's a dizziness. It's a proper.
Oh,
dizziness.
okay. I've heard people talk about
that. Yeah. So like your visions rotates or the room starts spinning and stuff like that. So I've had that a few times. I spent a week in bed because of it. I gave up smoking because of it. Like that's how freaking powerful.
Whoa.
Because I spent a week in bed and I couldn't move, so I couldn't go out for a cigarette. So after that week, I just thought, well, if I've done that,
I can do it.
I may as well not now. I vape though, to be fair.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Yeah, so I sat up in bed Tuesday morning and I felt a bit of vertigo and I was like, okay. And then I started to panic. I could feel I was getting really hot. I started freaking shaking.
Yeah.
And then my missus was downstairs. She texted me and said, "You all right? Do you want me to come upstairs?" And I was like, nah, because I'd rather deal with that shit on my own.
Yeah.
That's the kind of way that I've always done it. But the difference being like it only lasted a couple of minutes. That's the difference between the panic attacks now compared to 16 years ago. Yeah. I know so much more now. I still, my immediate thought is still, I'm going to die within the next 3 minutes.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was going to say.
After 3 minutes and I haven't died, then it's like, okay.
I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's all right.
That's what I was going to say then. Like, do you ever, when you think you're going to die, do you not think that, hold on, I've done this before, I'm not going to die, but what can I do? Or is there nothing you can do?
You do in the aftermath, but when it strikes, it's really difficult. There are people that can experience panic and not react to it, but it's one of the hardest challenges that you will ever face.
Yeah.
If you experience panic attacks, it's just like when it strikes. The key is because it's usually a reaction to a sensation. Like that's what sparks panic for a lot of people. They'll be in a position that makes them feel anxious, and then they'll notice their breathing changes, or they'll have a heart palpitation or feel dizziness, and then they add fear to that because it's like,
because they're noticing something different is happening to their body.
Yeah. But the reason that those symptoms happen is because of the stress response.
Yeah.
Like the release of adrenaline into your body, so it's preparing you for fight or flight, and that's what it's about.
Is that most of the time then? Would that be because I feel like that I've got that before. Obviously, probably everyone has at some point. But is it the difference then, like you say, with the fight or flight? Is yours a flight thing and let it happen? Because when I do it, if I feel like a thing like that, I don't know, I just use it. Like, whoa. Okay.
The fight or flight thing is that it's preparing your body to either because it dates back to
or hide.
Yeah. So it's to either fight the lion that's just walked out in front of you, or to leg it from it. So it's a natural bodily response to stress. So I guess everybody's different. Some people say the freeze as well, fight, flight, or freeze. So one of those three things, that's what your body's preparing you to do. But the solution to not do any of those things is to just carry on doing whatever it was you were doing. So if you were shopping, if you're shopping, if you don't want to fight because there's nothing to fight because you're not in any real danger. You don't want to flee because there's
nothing to flee from.
Yeah, well, it also reinforces the thought in your head that running away from whatever it was that was making me panic has saved my life.
Yeah.
When that's not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wouldn't matter if you were to just stand there and do nothing, you'll have the exact same result.
Yeah.
Because once that adrenaline's in your system, there's nothing you can do to get rid of it.
No,
You just got to let the time pass, and then you will start to feel calm.
Yeah.
Like if I guess the same principles apply for anything. If you're public speaking or going for a job interview, if you were to sit in the waiting room for, I don't know, 10 minutes, you'd be nervous. But if you sat there for like 2 days, by the end of the 2 days, you wouldn't be nervous about it.
No, yeah, that's
You'd
it.
just be like, for Christ's sake, man, get this out of the way.
Yeah, that's what for example, like what you say, like public speaking. Whoa, yes.
Christ. That was the postman.
What, barking?
Yeah, postman.
Letterbox.
Now we've got a dog one.
Yeah, so like obviously working in a school, I will do assemblies and stuff like that. So I'm speaking to everyone, and at first you might feel a bit like, ooh, but when you get halfway through, you just go, and it's just you rambling.
It's
then
great.
And it's like using excitement to be.
Well, the feelings of excitement are exactly the same as the feelings of anxiety. Your body's doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of the advice is to interpret the anxiety as excitement.
Yeah.
Like Christmas Eve, and you feel those jitters. Or imagine if you won the lottery right now, how would you feel? You'd be like, your body would just have an adrenaline dump. You would feel like crap, probably.
Probably be gutted because you could no shops open.
Yeah, exactly. But those exact same bodily feelings would be the ones that I would have sitting here if I just had a moment of dizziness.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be panicking the same. It's just that because yours is a positive thing, it's not bothering you. But because there's no reason for me to feel that panic,
makes it worse.
That's what. Yeah.
Can you die from it?
Nobody has ever died from having a panic attack.
Oh, that's good.
Nobody has. I can say that confidently, that nobody has ever died from a panic attack.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Shall we go to therapy?
Let's go to therapy. So the first time I ever went for therapy, it was NHS, CBT. And a lot of people talk about the waiting times, like you'll make that. So the problem with the service, and it's still the same now, is if you're feeling anxious or you're feeling depressed or whatever it is, you'll call whoever it is, you'll call the doctor or the IAPT service. That's who runs mental health now. And then they'll book you in for a telephone assessment, which could be weeks down the line. And then you have to wait for your CBT appointment, which can be months down the line. Like, I've spoke to people where it's been years down the line. But the problem is that when people make that call, and when I've made that call in the past to the doctor or the IAPT, it's then that I need the help.
Yeah.
Because this kind of thing, like you asked at the very start, does it come and go? Like, is it up and down?
Yeah.
And the answer is yeah. But the issue that I've always had is that by the time it comes round to having CBT sessions or that assessment, like you're on the road to feeling a bit better, and then you feel like you're wasting their time, and it's horrible.
Yeah, it's like you just said about sitting in the waiting room, isn't it? Like that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So when they answer the phone, they might not even be all right.
That's the problem. The point of service needs to be when you make that call, because that's when people are reaching out for help. So that's an issue with the service. So when it came around to my first CBT, like, I was nervous about going to it, but I had this vision in my head. I was naive. I didn't really know much about it, and I expected to go into this meeting with this guy, and he was going to say the magic words. Yeah. Sprinkle the magic dust on me.
Spray the water on you.
Yeah, and that was it. I was going to come out of those 6 sessions and just be like, okay. He told me something I didn't know, the magic bullet or whatever. Here we go. So it was stupid. Like, now looking back, but back then, like, I had no clue that.
Yeah. Well, did you talk about just how you felt and stuff like that?
Yeah, you talk about how you feel. Like, it's cognitive behavior therapy, so it's all about thoughts, replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and changing your behaviors. But like, it's something that I've always struggled with. The problem is that the NHS, that's all they offer, as far as I'm aware, is like CBT. You can do counselling, and there's a few different talking therapies, but it doesn't work for everybody. And that's the point. Like, I'm 16 years in, and I've had 3 lots of CBT with the NHS. The latest one was like, I did it last year, and it was all via the telephone, and it doesn't do anything. No, you don't learn anything. Like, there's only so much information that you can gather. The problem is that people don't like to hear it. But if you want to rid yourself of anxiety disorder, you've got to get off your ass and get out and
do it
push yourself.
yourself.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
You've got to build enough evidence in your head to know that those panic attacks will not kill you. It doesn't matter what you do, because that's what we're ultimately afraid of, is panicking. Maybe it's like embarrassing yourself in front of people, but it's a fear of having a panic attack in front of people or whatever it is that you're doing.
Is it always it's not always in front of people though. Like you say, sometimes you could just be sat at home.
Yeah, that's it. It can be any time. Anytime. For me specifically, like out of the blue, just here we go.
Yeah.
Let's have one.
So, like, do you have it? Do you feel worse when you go outside, or do you think it feels worse for you when you're inside?
No. Well, it's weird. I'm weird. I'm a weird case, man. They should freaking study me, because I have experienced most of my panic attacks at home. Yet home is my safe place.
Yeah.
Like I feel comfortable at home, even though I've panicked more at home.
Yeah.
But I'm also like I'm okay with being in the car. Like I can drive anywhere. I drive to Devon or Dorset or whatever, and I'm fine. But if you ask me to get out of the car and go in a shop, wherever it is, then that's when my issues start. So I'm just a strange case.
You know, and it's like you're going out. So you go into the shop, and is it the worry of other people? What is it? The worry of what people thinking or looking at you? Or
so for me, that would be like a social anxiety thing. So there's like social anxiety, health anxiety, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety, panic disorder, labels, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that would be more of a social thing. But for me, it was always like worrying about how I feel.
Yeah. Okay.
So I do it now. Like I go to you know where the co-op is. Like you're 2 minutes away from it, same as me. So I go to that co-op and I drive to it, even though I'm about 300 footsteps away from it. I still drive to it, and I'll sit in the car, and like if I don't feel 100% when I'm sitting in the car, then I just won't go in, because I know that it's just going to escalate.
Yeah. What sort of things have you does going for a walk or anything like that help? Like if it was where nobody is, or is there any things that you do that specifically help you to feel good? Like actually, I spoke with someone yesterday, and he says about yoga and meditation.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of things do help. It's just, it's strange. I don't know, like people that are really stuck. I consider myself as stuck in the rut, because like nothing's really changed. I know I've made massive progress from being housebound and that, but I don't know. I think the only thing that truly helps with my kind of issue is pushing yourself every day.
Yeah.
To not do yoga or nothing like that, because yoga's not going to fix my mental health condition.
Yeah.
Like, because I could still have a panic attack when I finish yoga.
Yeah.
My issue is with having anxiety, heightened anxiety and panic attacks. So I need to sit in the middle of Asda and just let it happen. That's the only way that it's going to happen for me. But finding the motivation or the inspiration or the desire to do it is another thing.
So do you think like doing your podcasts, do you think that's like a step doing something like that? Obviously, surely if you're doing a podcast or a live stream especially.
So the live streams are it's different, man. I hate doing live streams. I did 6 podcasts maybe a year ago, maybe just over a year ago, and I was taking live calls. So it was like me and you are doing this now.
Yeah.
But it would just be me on video, and then I put my number on screen and other people could call in. So it was live. I had no idea who was calling in. Like, didn't know what country they were coming from, what they wanted to talk about, their name. And I'd just take the call, answer it live on YouTube, and then talk to them. And that was probably the worst decision I ever made.
That hard work,
It was rough, man. I think I did 6 episodes and 3 of them were a nightmare. 3 of the episodes I was just constantly panicking, and it was horrible. But other people couldn't tell, because I could just sit and like look no different. I look no different at all.
But inside it's going mental.
Yeah, it's horrible. I just want to click off, hide the screen, or do something.
Was there ever like a thought of what if no one calls? Because obviously it's live stream.
I didn't care about that. I didn't care about that. And it's weird. Like I've never really, because I know a lot of people, they talk about like men not opening up and talking
Yeah,
about it. But I've never had an issue with talking about my anxiety,
No.
man. Like I was making videos 15 years ago on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I never had an issue with like just being honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you ever
that's the
take
key.
there's like obviously positives from having it, sort of thing. Like you would never be doing this or what you do now if it weren't for having anxiety.
I do wonder like how
And
different
obviously the
my
way you
life would
help
have been.
people as well.
Yeah. I don't see the reason that I started the Anxiety United thing was to share my story.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always made videos so I can look back on them. Like if I made a video on head pressure like last week.
Yeah, I've watched that this
The
morning.
reason that I do that is twofold. Number one, it's so other people can relate to it and like, okay, I'm not the only person that's freaking out. But then the other issue is so I can watch it back. So next time I get head pressure in 6 months' time, because I will,
Yeah.
I'll look back on that video and I'll be like, oh yeah, I didn't die.
Yeah.
That's the key. It's kind of like a journal. It's just
online video journal.
Yeah, instead of reading it, I can watch myself and see how I looked and see how I'm aging horrifically.
Oh, when I watched obviously I watched the one from 10 years ago. You look like you're at school.
It's bad, man. It's bad. The very first time. So the reason that I started doing the YouTube stuff was because, well, I just wanted to share my journey. But like, this is going way back. There weren't that many people on YouTube when we started.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a bunch of other people. Like I got a friend in New York who I'm still friends with now. Yeah. And there was a guy in Ohio. Then we would I'd go and do something, do a walk or something. I used to walk to my post box. That was my thing.
Yeah.
And then I'd talk to my mates, Drew and Chris, and I'd say, look, you've got to go and do something now. So I'd get home, post my video on the net, and then they'd go out and do something, and they'd be like, right, now your turn. Go do something. And that was the idea behind Anxiety United, was like I wanted to build a community where people were just spurring each other on. Sort of. Yeah. To really push yourself and just do something.
I did hear as well, have you got a book?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard you mention a book.
I can't be asked to write a book. Everybody turns to books, man.
Yeah.
Have you?
I actually wrote a story, and I've got to write 2 more, and they said they will publish it.
What's it about?
Oh, it's a children's story.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah, it's good fun. That's what I've used my time in, lockdown to do.
My intellectual level might be able to handle a children's book.
Yeah,
I'll give it a read.
It's quite fun. I read a story a story that inspired me. It was called Wiggles Bottom Primary. It's probably like 10 words a page. And now
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. I'm using my lockdown time.
Well, yeah, you're doing something useful. I tried doing live streams. That was my thing.
Yeah, that's what I was getting onto.
The decaf coffee morning, but
too much, man. Not a full thing.
Too much. It was stressing me out too much, and I think stress is a major trigger for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't always tell when I'm stressed, because some things it's like water off a duck's back, but it's not. I think some things stress me out more than because I'm so freaking chilled out. I think it's the amount of weed that I smoked as a youth.
It's all still in there.
Yeah. And I still use CBD now.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. Some things just stress me out. I've been through some shit, man. I went through a divorce 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I was with that piece of shit for 13 years. And then she did the dirty. And me having, that was a major issue for me, because going from being in a steady family and not really making any progress because I was kind of lazy, and she was doing everything. But then I had to get my own house. I had to do my own shopping, do my own washing, bring up my daughter because she decided to move in. So that was a massive eye-opener, man. I've made a lot of progress in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's it. You wouldn't have done that before if that thing didn't happen, probably.
No, exactly. I'd still be just doing nothing. Making videos, maybe going for a walk once a week or whatever. I used to go through phases where I'd really try and challenge myself, but the motivation just starts to wear off. What it is you'll go and do a walk, or you'll go walking for a week or so, and then you'll experience heightened anxiety because you're constantly pushing yourself.
Yeah.
And then you just get to the point where it's I don't want to make myself feel like this every freaking day, because it's horrible. But that's the point. The point is that you need to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to keep doing this. And that's why I am still stuck.
Yeah, you had a lot of people on the live streams as well that commented. So do you ever like whilst you're doing the live stream and then people are commenting, does that ever make you feel a little bit better that there is other people that want your help as well? Does that make
It doesn't
you
really
want to
make
carry on?
No, it doesn't make any difference.
You know?
I couldn't give a fuck what they say.
Oh, no.
It doesn't make any difference because it's not an issue with how many people or what it's like. It's an issue with how I feel.
Yeah.
So if I start the live stream and I feel great, I can just carry on. But if there's a moment in that live stream, or even in this while we're doing this, and I like have a weird sensation, then I'm going to be thinking about that for the next 20 minutes, and it's horrible when you know that like I could just end it. I could just end the stream right now.
Just run off.
Yeah. I've had that thought so many times.
Yeah.
It's rough.
I don't want that mug. Your mug's a lot smaller than mine. Yours says something, but every time I drink, my whole head gets covered.
It fills your face, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's quite a good one. Nice. But as well, you've met Chris. Well, you've had a podcast with Chris Kirkland and a few other very big names.
Yeah. There's like I had loads lined up.
Yeah.
It pisses me off with celebrities because they say they want to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like I'll tweet them. And like I've got 34,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like United, which is crazy. But I never get any interaction anymore.
Oh. You've got loads of subscribers on YouTube though, thousands.
I've got 18,500 subscribers, but they don't watch my videos.
So
it's I don't know why they subscribed. I'll tell you what it is. I made one video maybe about 3-4 years ago, and it was the 10 most common anxiety symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's got 1.1 million views on just that one video. And that's why people hit subscribe.
That's more than celebrities.
I know, it's ridiculous. But it's taken a while to get to it.
Yeah.
But it's worth the money. But I remember when I made that video. I made that video and I remember sitting at my computer and thinking to myself, like, this video is going to turn my YouTube channel around. Because all I was posting before that was just crap. And then I posted that, and then it took a while, but I couldn't believe it. Crazy.
What even happens when it gets to that 1 million? Like, what does YouTube message you or something like that?
Nah, nothing. Nothing at all.
Do you not get a big gold star on your YouTube page?
Nah, you just got to make yourself a star, print it out, stick it on your wall. That's what I did.
That's what
I'm
working towards.
I think I've got like 2.5 million views on my YouTube channel over my videos. But I only get, like, I'll do the podcast and that. The Kirkland one, I think, is the lowest viewed podcast that
I can't believe people everyone would know that name, surely. So
I don't know. It's a strange one. But, see, the issue with, I was getting on at celebrities. I like bashing celebrities.
Yeah.
Because I reached out to loads of them, like, publicly on Twitter, and they'll all say, yeah, we'll do it. And then you message them or you email them, and you just don't get anything back.
Yeah.
It's like, they'll say, yeah, we'll do this, we'll help you out. Like Callum Best, I'm going to call people out. Denise Welch, I don't know if you're familiar with her. You know Callum Best, though, right? George Best's son.
Oh, yes, I do, sorry.
He's heard the name. Like, I've got ridiculous followers on Twitter, like Peter Andre, Gordon Ramsay, Stephen Fry.
What?
Freaking loads. Alistair Campbell, politicians, Denise Van Outen. There's loads.
So they follow you, but they don't want to get on.
Yeah, they never come on there. Like, I've interacted with a few of them in private messages. It's pretty cool, man. Like people from Coronation Street and that. But
what do you say when you first speak to them? You just like, when I first done mine, especially like my Instagram page, and messaging people, I would just ask them. Obviously, it's usually people that are already doing something similar to me or trying to do something that I've messaged, so you can kind of give them a little bit of help whilst they come on. But I've only ever asked them to come on. We've gone. There's only the guy that I've done my podcast with yesterday. I've actually spoke to. Other than that, the rest of them, just ask them if they want to come on. Tell them they're doing good and let's share each other's stuff, like sort of thing. There's not been a normal conversation.
Like when there was me and this other guy, I think he was like retweeting a lot of my stuff when I first started the Twitter thing. So I said to him, like, "You want to come on board with it?" Like, he doesn't now. This was years ago.
Yeah.
But me and him, we used to just constantly tweet people, like
Oh,
asking for retweets and stuff like that. Because Twitter was the thing back then. Like, it's crap now. I think Twitter's crap. But that back then, like, we'd just tweet Gordon Ramsay and say, "Oi, big boy."
Yeah,
Retweet
that's what
this.
I messaged. The only celebrity I've messaged. I messaged Noel Fielding on Instagram.
Yeah.
I said because in the Mighty Boosh they do isolation song, so I messaged him saying, "You and Julian Barrett want to come on the podcast and sing the isolation song with me?" But he never read it.
The only way that you'll get people like that is by asking them. So just it doesn't hurt to try, does it? It doesn't hurt to try. Imagine how many messages and freaking notifications they get.
That's what I just thought. No, I just keep sending it in and he'll realise. And then he might even message me saying, "Get lost, man." And then that'll be enough for me. I'll be done.
Yeah, that's it. You just want a response. I remember, like, when I first started the Anxiety United thing, and Stephen Fry, because he's massive in mental health, like, he's had struggles himself. And I remember tweeting him, asking him to help me crash the website, because I wanted that much traffic that it was going to crash the website. And he retweeted it. He retweeted it because he thought it was funny. And then the website was just getting shit tons of traffic. And I picked up loads of followers off it. But I don't do that anymore.
That's how it's going to get around, isn't it, though, getting a celebrity?
Yeah, it helps, man. It helps massively. But then, like with the Kirkland podcast, I thought that was going to be... I thought I'd get a few episodes under my belt, and then I thought I'll get somebody, Chris Kirkland, great.
Yeah.
Like, he spoke publicly about mental health, but shit all. Didn't get nothing.
You're my first celebrity on here, technically.
Woo!
So,
yes!
nice.
Representing, man. Problem is, I've got nothing to sell. I haven't got a book out. I don't offer a program. That's another thing that really pisses me off.
What's that?
Like, people just want to come on and sell their book or especially with my stuff, because that everybody knows the cure to anxiety. That's what they all say.
Yeah.
But if it was that simple, there wouldn't be millions of people around the world that are struggling with anxiety, you know?
Yeah,
that's the issue.
One thing that, actually, your podcast compared to mine is your editing is unreal.
I'm a master.
Like, the intro and the outro and, well, even I watched the one that you done sent out to Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
About Billy, and I showed that to Abby, and she thought Jamie was in the room with you. I was like, no, that's,
really?
That's Joe Rogan.
That was acting, mate. That was my acting skills. I'm taking the credit for that.
It's so good. The editing and whatever you do on there.
People messaging me and people commenting on it saying, "Was Joe Rogan really talking about you?" And I'm like, really? Like, come on.
It does fit perfectly, though.
It does, yeah.
That's who you want to get on your podcast.
I sat and watched a Joe Rogan episode where he was talking to Jamie, and I just sat and watched it and waited for sound bites, and that's how I found the bits that I was using.
I've not seen that episode. He just talks to him. Is he on the screen, or is he still in the background?
He's on the screen a few times. Yeah. It's just Joe and Jamie. It's an old one. It's an old one. Yeah, if we're talking Joe Rogan, my favourite ever Joe Rogan episode is the one with Alex Jones, man. It's
Alex Jones on his own.
Him, Alex Jones, and then Eddie Bravo.
I've watched the one with them too. It's so funny.
It's so good.
Have you seen I think someone's made an animated version of that one where Alex Jones goes mental and his head's exploding. He needs the toilet halfway through, and then he forgets he needs the toilet.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I watched it again the other day. It's the only podcast I've ever watched twice. I watched it again. Brilliant.
I've watched Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse. I've
never watched any of those. Yeah. I like Tim Pool. He had Tim Pool on there the other day.
I'm halfway through that one, and there's some good stuff spoke about. There's one thing I even tried yesterday on Facebook. They talk about whistleblowers and stuff. I'm not going to mention the name because
the name of the guy.
Yeah.
I have the name of my guy saved on my phone on my internet because I was looking at it, but we won't say his name.
No.
But it's
I
John.
couldn't believe it. When he said even if you type it in on Facebook, it gets automatically removed. So I did it, and then asked my friends to check my profile, and it done. I was like, "What? Oh,
Oh,
no
really?
way." Yeah,
Oh, you actually did the.
Yeah, I did it. I thought, whatever, just give it a go. So
That's it. You've been flagged now. They're watching your every move now, mate.
Well, I was hoping it was. I'm trying to lure them into the podcast. They'll know me.
Yeah.
Then they'll
Get
watch
some
the
publicity.
YouTube video, and
Yeah.
then even if they come to my
you'll
house and try and get me,
You'll have 50,000 NSA operatives watching all your podcasts.
that's what I want.
Did
They're
he-
on it now.
Mm.
But yeah, we haven't even people see my logo as well, and nobody knows who it was created by. They love it.
The wizard.
This is the man. This is the guy who created my logo.
Yeah. See, your dad does magic with cards, but I do magic with computers. That's my skill.
There is. Go on.
I started web design, didn't I? Like that. That's my thing. That's my business. But the only reason that I started that was because I needed to work from home. Because of anxiety. It's the only reason that I do computers, editing, anything, Photoshop. It's purely because of anxiety. So.
Was you good at that before anxiety?
No, I didn't know how to do. I didn't know anything.
What?
I was car valeting and window fitting.
Yeah, of course.
No.
Now
I've never done computers.
Now you're a master on the computer.
Yeah. I'd worked in offices before, but never anything. Like I didn't know how to build a website. I just learned, self-taught everything. Downloaded Photoshop and just went, let's give it a bash.
Well, it can be done then.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
All my old videos were made with Windows Movie Maker. That was my.
Oh yeah.
That was my go-to.
That's not even about now, I think, is it?
I've still got it. I've got an old version, yeah.
Oh, we spoke about me using it, didn't we, before I started all this, and the only thing I done with that, I looked for it, found it on the App Store, brought it, realised it was the instructions and how to use it.
Brilliant.
So I brought the instructions, but there is no Windows Movie Maker.
Fantastic. That's what you want.
Wow. So I could be a genius on it, but it doesn't actually exist for people anymore.
Takes time, mate. Takes time. Years. Well, I think I've been web designing for 10 years.
Did you create some of the players on FIFA once?
I did, man. My name is on the credits of. I think it's FIFA 10. It's either FIFA 10 or 11, and my name is on the credits if you watch it.
Someone's got to buy FIFA 10. That's a look. Billy.
Yeah. We used to have a copy of it. I think Josh might still have it for his PlayStation 3, maybe, or it might have been 2. No, it was 3. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think
that was 8. That was ace. I got to edit the Blues team.
Yeah, you did.
Made them better than they are.
No. Did you ever? You should have picked your most hated Blues player if you have any, because you probably don't, and made him look proper ugly.
Loved them all. No, I remember it was annoying because you did you'd do the 3D modeling. You know when you create a player on FIFA yourself.
Of course, yeah.
But with the editor, that's the online editor. That's what our job was. So you'd go on and make the players look like they're supposed to. And I had Cameron Jerome down to a T. But then once you'd submitted all the edits, there'd be reviewers. And I remember reviewers could go in and change, and they changed it. And I was like, what? I know Cameron Jerome.
I know what he looks like.
I was so annoyed with that. Didn't do it again.
Does someone do that for every club? Because some people really need to work on it.
Yeah. So somebody makes the players. Yeah.
Half of the Fleetwood team all look the same with different hair.
Oh, really? Well, maybe. So the thing is, with me, I don't know if it's changed now. It probably has, but you could request what teams you wanted. So I obviously wanted Birmingham. I think I maybe got West Brom. I know I got Shrewsbury and Walsall. So they were like my teams. I think Ipswich as well was my other one. So I had control over all 5 of those teams. So I had to research it, put the stats in for each player. And
you did
photos.
The stats as well?
Yeah. But everything was then reviewed. So if I couldn't put Jerome at 99 shooting, number 1, because he's shit. And number 2, because nobody would have allowed it. I could have edited that. No, put him at 36. He's crap. God. His pace was 100 or 99. But
do you still follow the Blues? Little.
I do, I guess. Yeah, I'm not so passionate anymore. I was going to say my favourite thing is UFC, man. MMA. I absolutely love it. But that was the first. I mentioned this to you the other day. Like my first experience at podcasting, even though I had anxiety, it was like maybe 7 years ago. I started a thing called MMA in the UK. It was before Conor McGregor. So you didn't have everybody saying they know everything about UFC.
Yeah.
Like there weren't a lot to know, and I was like, I had built a website like reviewing different organizations, Cage Warriors, BAMA, all the UK stuff, and the UFC, and I was interviewing people. Like even with anxiety, I interviewed Cage Rage Dave, who's well known in the MMA. Yeah, he was the owner of MMA. I can't even remember the organization name, but he was part of Cage Rage. He was the owner of Cage Rage. I interviewed Che Mills, who was in the UFC at the time, so it was like mad because this was my passion.
What?
Yeah.
You're
Che
getting
Mills.
these guys on like we are now.
Yeah. Well, it weren't video; it was just over call.
Oh, okay.
But I had like I'd look on my phone. I had like Jack Mason. He was a like pretty well known in the UK. Cage Warriors. I had Che Mills' number on my phone. I was like,
These
yes.
are all your mates.
Yeah. I was getting invited to go and see UK events, like free tickets, press pass, so I could go and sit in the press box and do it. But obviously, I couldn't leave my house.
Yeah.
I got invited to the NEC for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Like I was going to be the press guy for it. They sent me press cards. I had T-shirts printed, and then I realised that I couldn't go. I was like, shit, can't do it.
No way, that's mental.
Yeah, that was my passion, man.
And what did you talk to them about? Like anxiety stuff? Or
it was nothing to do with that. It was purely MMA, like previous fights, upcoming fights. Because Che Mills was on a bit of a tear at that time, but it all went downhill after he spoke to me. I don't know if I had anything to do with it.
Oh no!
I don't know where he is now, but yeah.
And you still watch it now, obviously. It's still on now, isn't it, as well?
That's the first sport back in it. They did an event Saturday. They did one Wednesday.
Was there fans?
No crowd.
No, I didn't think so.
No crowd. They've got another event this Saturday, but it's been brilliant to just watch live sport, man. Love it.
Isn't the German Bundesliga back tomorrow?
Apparently, it's supposed to be back. I don't know when it is. I didn't know it was that soon. But I don't know whether they will, man.
No.
Well, I haven't heard anything about it, but I just can't see. I can't see sports going back to normal. Not this soon.
What do you watch UFC on? Is it on BT?
BT Sport, yeah, BT Sport.
I have to have a look. The first time I ever actually not heard about it, but got more into it was when you come round to mine and you says, you look like Conor McGregor once.
McGregor? Yeah. And then you were like researching. Who is this guy? Who the fuck is that guy?
And now my mum thinks it's me. She's like, you look like that man so much. Thanks, Mum.
That's not a bad person to look like.
No,
he's quite world famous.
I think a lot of people look like him. When you told me that, so many people started to look like him.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the generic look.
Yeah, it is. Everyone wants to look like McGregor.
Yeah.
But I like to watch it. I watch a lot of highlights of it every now and then. I just like to see people punch each other's head in.
Yeah. I remember like looking on YouTube years ago when I seen Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock. That was my first experience. Like I'm talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I just started searching the internet for UFC knockouts, and that was like I seen it. I think I bought a DVD probably from a car boot sale that was like UFC knockouts. I've got to watch it.
Whoa.
And then I just became obsessed with this thing. Now I love it. I absolutely love it. I prefer it to football, man.
Yeah. That could be when you're this lockdown. You should learn some martial arts.
I am not flexible enough, mate.
That's the key.
I think I'm made of wood now. Like if I get my arm in a lock, it will snap off.
Yeah, it might be all right though, because at least you won't get the strenuous pain of them pulling your arm because they'll just pull it off.
Yeah, true.
Claim
disability.
I think it's Monty. You watched Monty Python?
I've seen a few of them.
You know where he fights the Black Knight and keeps cutting his body parts off, and he keeps wanting more.
Yeah, I vaguely remember.
That'll just be
it's been a long time.
Just armor,
just sitting there. Whee!
There's some good UFC fighters out. There's one guy that caught my eye not so long ago was I don't know. He looks like an Egyptian bloke, Turkish bloke, and he does all the flips and kicks and jumps off the side of the thing and whatnot. I think he's called
Anthony Pettis.
I don't know. His name not Mike. Is it Michael something or other? I don't know. I might be making that up. He's got
I think you might be.
long black hair. Quite a tan bloke. I'll have to find out who he is.
Yeah, you've threw me there. I don't know.
He's a nut.
I know Showtime Pettis does the Showtime kick where he kicks off the cage and spins around and stuff.
There's all good ones like that.
There's some amazing, like the biggest fight that I've ever seen, or the one that's most memorable for me is Anderson Silva versus Chris Weidman. Are you familiar with Anderson Silva?
Yeah.
So he was a legend, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And it was like Wimbledon was on. That's how clearly I remember it. Murray was in it might have been Nadal was on TV the same day.
Yeah.
And I just remember, because I'd always record UFC and watch it the day after because I had to stay in overnight. And just watching Anderson get KO'd by Weidman, and I was in complete shock, man. It was like
unbelievable, the greatest.
I could not believe it. It was unbelievable. Spent like 3 days just like, did that really happen?
Getting over it, yeah.
yeah. What?
That's
Same
it.
thing happened when Blues won the cup.
Oh yeah. I haven't experienced that yet.
You probably won't. Let's be honest.
That is the only problem with like UFC boxing. It's on at stupid o'clock in the morning.
I know, yeah. I only ever stayed up once to watch it. It was George St. Pierre versus Nick Diaz. And I was in bed watching it on my phone. Like that was a long time ago. That's the only one I've ever watched.
Stayed up for two. Conor McGregor against Aldo and Conor McGregor against Alvarez.
See, when McGregor burst onto the scene, or before he did, like he was in Cage Warriors, and I used to tweet. I was tweeting him because that was around the time of my MMA in the UK.
Okay, yeah, right.
He'd retweet my stuff and that, and I was like, yes, because I knew of McGregor.
Yeah.
So I'd had retweets of him, and then he joined the UFC and had that fight in Sweden. I think his first one was, and it was just like, jeez, like we're never going to talk to him again.
Yeah, he's a
superstar.
big guy. Yeah,
that fight with Aldo. The fight before that, the one that he had with...
Diaz, was it?
No.
Yeah? Was it not?
I forgot the guy's name. Chad Mendes. It was for the interim belt.
Yeah,
he was supposed to fight Aldo, but Aldo pulled out. And I was like, I could not believe that he'd managed to do it. I was emotional. Jesus Christ. I was emotional after he won that. It was great. That's how invested I was in forward mode. And then I couldn't believe he did Aldo in like 13 seconds.
That's it. And he beat Alvarez like in a stupid time.
Yeah.
Well, so the two that I stayed up for.
Thinking of the Aldo thing, because my old man would come down and watch the fights with me.
Yeah.
That morning, because you posted it on Facebook that McGregor had beat Aldo, and my dad said, I already know the result. And I was like, how? Jack.
Oh, no.
So no spoilers.
There wasn't much, like it had started and literally...
and then it was done.
Then it was over, so I was been awake for so long, I might as well stay awake and tell everyone.
I watched the McGregor-Mayweather boxing.
Oh, yeah, I was going to stay up for that as well.
That was crap.
That was, pretty pants. But
he got beat by Khabib.
Yeah, I know.
Nurmagomedov.
Didn't Khabib's dad or something die the other day or something like that?
I'm not sure if I know he's in a coma.
A relative. Oh, is it? Yeah. I've seen McGregor send something out.
It's sad, man. It's bad.
And then he had that fight with... Did he fight... Was it Tony? He didn't fight. Who was the guy he fought recently?
Cowboy Cerrone.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Destroyed him.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
It's a pointless amount of retirement.
There's some big stars in the UFC now. It's not all about Conor McGregor. Like Jorge Masvidal. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No.
He's on the rise. Watch out for him. He might fight McGregor at some point for the BMF title, the baddest motherfucker. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, Masvidal fought Nate Diaz, who McGregor fought twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for the BMF belt. They made this new belt that was just for the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And Masvidal Masvidal bust up Nate's face, and that's why the fight was stopped.
Oh, yeah.
And now I know McGregor wants a shot at the BMF belt.
Yeah, and he holds it then, does he?
Masvidal has the BMF. But they said that it was just a one-off. They were never the title was never gonna be decided again.
Real thing,
he was the baddest motherfucker, and that's it. But McGregor wants a piece of that.
He wants him, yeah. Well, he ended up doing Diaz, didn't he, after he lost to him?
Yeah, it was debatable though, man. Debatable decision. It's a tough fight. I think them two could fight 10 times and it'd be close every time.
Yeah.
Apart
good.
from the first one.
It is interesting watching them just. It's amazing how some of the blokes get smacked so many times in the head and still just.
Yeah, that fight. There was a fight at the weekend. Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson.
I think they're that's what I've
Ferguson
seen the highlights for that.
Yeah, that was too much. Ferguson
their
got
face.
destroyed. Yeah.
God, sometimes I don't
Not
know how
good.
they see after that. Their eyes.
It was the same on Wednesday. Glover Teixeira did the same thing to Anthony Smith. Is it? I think his name is. He got destroyed, absolutely destroyed. It's not good.
Looks like
you don't need to see that. Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, I don't think I could take up that one.
But it's mad because it's come such a long way. Because like back in the old days, like when the UFC first started, there was no weight restrictions. It was just everybody was just in.
You could have Butterbean versus McGregor.
Yeah. Like there's a guy called Taylor Tooley. Like if you have a minute after this, check it out. I think he fought some French guy, Gerard something. I can't remember his name. He might have been French, and it's like the guy is huge. But the other, I can't remember who it was. It might not be that Gerard, but he kicks him square in the head while this Taylor Tooley's on his knees, and you see his teeth come out of his mouth.
Oh,
like that's.
Ow.
That was real back then. It was rough, man. No weight limits, no time limit.
So you just punch each other.
No rounds. Yeah. It was just
submission or nothing. Yeah. I think that would be my worst thing. Submission.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd rather be tapped out than knocked out. Surely.
I don't know. It depends how long they're pulling you around for.
Well, you can just tap, can't you? That's my plan. I'm going to get into the UFC. Ref says go, and I just tap.
Done. Finish. Yes. Let me help.
Finish my career with no knockouts.
Yes. No losses, no wins. Yeah. Oh, would it be a loss?
Yeah, you'd lose, but that's all right. You tapped. It's fine.
Yes.
Appearance.
And you'll be famous.
Exactly.
And you'll have more than 18,000 subscribers then.
Possibly. Who knows, man?
What's next for the podcast then? Are you going to tell? Well, to be fair, this ain't going to be released for a while. So.
Yeah, good point. I've got podcasts upcoming. Like you, I just reach out to people every now and again. Like there's been a bit of a dry patch where I haven't done any, but that's because I haven't felt great. Yeah, but it's weird. Like I don't know what to do with the channel. Like I'm always in limbo. Like with you, it's a podcast. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But with mine, like I do the info videos where it's just like a voiceover.
Yeah.
And I'm not on it. And they get like 200,000 views. And then I'll put one with me on, sharing my story, and it'll get like 200 views. Yeah. And it's like, oh. But it's my channel. So like that's what I'm doing with it. But I never know what to do. Like I've tried podcasting loads of times. And I'll stick with this one. Just sharing people's, like the idea is to just share their story. And they don't have to be celebs. I want people that like really struggle with anxiety.
Yeah.
Because that's the key to it. Like it's not, I'm not trying to promote a cure or sell a cure.
Some people just share what they've done, what they've been through.
Yeah. Well, the feedback that I get on my videos is that people love them because they can relate to it.
Yeah.
Like that's the point. They can relate to the stuff that I talk about because I'm so open about it. And they know that there's no sell coming at the end of it, like buy my book. It's just
Yeah. He hasn't got a book really.
No, I haven't got a book. I don't intend to make a book. I know. See, the issue with me is I never want to make money from people's misery.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like I fell for it when I first started struggling. I bought this thing that was proclaimed to be the cure for anxiety. Oh. Like everybody needs to do this. I spent like 120 quid. It was back in like 2005, 2006, and it was just crap. Really.
Did nothing.
No, not really. It's the same. So I've got 2 books. And they've got flowers on them. If anybody is struggling with anxiety, right, these are the 2 books that you need to buy. Self-Help with Your Nerves, or whatever it's called.
Nerves.
Yeah, Self-Help and Essential Help from Your Nerves. And it's Dr. Claire Weeks. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
That seriously, those are the only books, or one of them, that you will need to understand that, like, you've got to. Firstly, you got to accept the way that you feel, like with your physical shit. If I feel dizzy, then I have to just accept it's anxiety, it's stress, it's the response. And then you've got to learn to just float through that shit instead of reacting, or like people put rubber bands on their wrists, flick them, or they'll do mindfulness colouring books, or they'll splash water on their face, or some people do, like the point is to do nothing and then just allow it to happen, because it makes no difference. Because the secret to it all is that you're not in any danger.
Yeah.
Like, it's irrational. Whatever anxiety you're feeling, like, it's irrational.
Mm-hmm.
We could do this. Me and you could do the same thing. I will feel anxious and you will feel normal, and that's it. Yeah. It's only because of your mindset. It's because you're not freaking out about it. Like, we could both do the exact same thing.
Yeah. But it would be a different outcome.
Yeah. Well, no, the outcome would be the same as long as I don't run away. Yeah.
Different heads.
That's the secret.
Wow. It's been
I don't know what else to say. How long have we been going for, man?
We have been going for 1 hour, 14 minutes and 45 seconds.
That's reasonable.
It's a wrap-up time.
Is it?
I think we've spoken, and you've got a lot out there. Do you think, like, I don't know whether, like, me speaking, like, I've done 3 podcasts recently with 3 different people that have said about, spoke about mental health. Obviously, yours is a lot more in depth. Obviously, your experiences through yours, whereas the bloke I spoke to yesterday, his was a different kind of anxiety. So he goes deep into that one. With me, like, speaking to these different people, do you think having a heads up, like, imagine if I read that book as well and went through your podcast, having a heads up of knowing what's to come if things like this was to ever happen to me or to other people, that it would help more knowing?
So
it just comes.
This is interesting. My opinion was that, like, it didn't really matter, because, like, I've learned so much about anxiety and mental health, and it's not helped me really.
Yeah.
But my son changed my opinion on it, because, like, I think, like he was saying in the podcast that I did with him, like, he knows so much more about it. Therefore, like, he's prepared. Yeah. And if he sees other people struggling with it, because he's an advocate for mental health in schools. Like, kids should be taught not just how to deal with it, but how to recognize and help somebody else that is. Like, and he convinced me it's a good idea, because, like, he's experienced panic as well, but he's not developed no disorder, maybe because he knows so much about it. Yeah. So I think
that's what I've been thinking recently.
Yeah.
We'll see where it leads me.
See where it takes you, man.
I want to learn more about it. So it's important. It's important now, isn't it? Like, a lot of people, like, everybody, whether they're hiding it or whether they show it.
So do you know anybody? Do you know anybody other than me that struggles with anxiety openly?
I know. So Abby has.
Oh, really?
When, like, a long time ago, and
she subscribed to me or what?
I don't know. I'll have to answer. She's probably listening to me right now. But she's had a therapy and stuff, like, a long time ago, and she's definitely there. She has thoughts about whether even sometimes it might be whether she said the wrong thing or whether she's doing the right.
She's really conscious of her actions and thoughts. Yeah.
I try and put my mindset not onto her, like, not trying to force her to do anything, but hopefully if I say positive things or make it reasonable for her to understand, then it will help with however she's feeling. I'm sure there's plenty of my friends, or plenty of people that I know that have been.
It's amazing, mate. Yeah. Like, anything that I do, like, because I have new clients for my business, web design stuff, like, because they come to the house usually for the meeting. Like, I won't go to their place. I used to, but I've stopped doing it. But they'll come here, and, like, one of the first things I'll say to them is, look, if I start freaking out, like, I might have to get up, get a drink or something, because I have a bit of an issue with anxiety. 90% of the people that come round say, yeah, same here, mate. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, not just that it's fine, that they experience it as well. Or they definitely know somebody that has. Yeah. It's scary. It's alarming.
Everyone knows.
It's alarming to me.
Definitely.
Especially now, because my issues started with stress, and we haven't even talked about what caused it. But I'll forgive you for that. But, like, the amount of stress that people are under now with this lockdown stuff, like, that's what scares me. It scares me that because the services aren't there now. They weren't there already for people that are struggling.
Yeah.
And my issue started with stress, and I've spoke to so many people that have like developed panic attacks and anxiety disorders because of stress. Like the situation that people are in with not having money and not being able to go out work and not being able to socialize and see relatives. Like it
Puts
scares
more
me.
stress on people, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Then,
exactly.
let alone
Because
having an anxiety disorder.
yeah, no, pre-anxiety. I'm talking about people like you and people like other people that don't experience anxiety, because I knew fuck all about it. Like I weren't prone to anxiety. I didn't have a history of anxiety. Like I felt nervous doing school plays and stuff, but I'd never experienced panic or anxiety like that. It just came out of the blue because I was stressed. And that's what scares me about the current situation in the world.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have to see what they do about it and what goes on in the future, I guess.
They'll vaccinate every last one of us. We'll have our brains implanted into a virtual machine.
Oh god, that's so like some people. I don't know if that was a joke or not, but some people believe that.
Yeah. Well, Bill Gates has just patented some 060606 thing or something
That's
to
a
do
sign
with
of it. Isn't that a sign of the devil?
Yeah, it's the devil. That's the number of his patent.
I think Tim Paul on that Joe Rogan podcast actually called Bill Gates the devil.
Lucifer.
So, yeah. There you go.
We're going to get shut down right now.
Oh, well, never mind.
Good job this ain't live. It'd be taken off.
Well,
if it weren't for Bill Gates, we would not be doing this podcast because we're using Microsoft Windows to run our computers.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Okay.
Windows.
Yes, West Side.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate. It's been good fun. Enjoyed it. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure there's so much more we can go and talk about.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And anyway, it doesn't always have to be about anxiety or
exactly.
It can be about anything else.
Well, I'm a big conspiracy theorist guy, man.
Okay, I've got a few. I'm gonna. Before we leave, obviously, we want people to carry on watching Anxiety United and follow Anxiety United. Let's turn that 18,000 subscribers into
20. No, just 20k would do. I did a video when I got to 10,000. I did like a montage video, and I'll do the same when I get to 20.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. We want to see that. I want people to follow PodJack95, subscribe. If I get to 10,000, I have got so many outtakes.
Oh, really?
Already? Yeah, loads. The amount of times I've sat in here and just made silly videos.
You just don't need to edit any of this. It's been so smooth.
Oh, this one is amazing.
We've nailed it, mate.
Yeah.
Nailed it. What was I going to say? I was going to say, I'm going to send people to this video anyway. So this podcast is going to be your most viewed, I assure you.
Oh, yeah,
I'm going to make sure of it.
Well, the dog keeps walking around the background. That's what people want to see.
Don't worry about it.
I did watch.
She's on next week.
Was there? I don't know if it was an old video or was it the most recent video of the dog's face?
Right at the start, yeah.
This taping.
Yeah, I tried to bring her in. Come here. We'll end with this.
Yeah.
She's
this
right, man.
She looks good. What's her name?
Izzy.
Oh yeah, Izzy.
Izzy.
I can hear. Izzy. No, this is what I'm going to leave you with before we go. Say big conspiracy theorists. We got two. So I'm going to leave you with the theory.
Wait, am I allowed to respond to these, or are you just going to leave me to think about them?
I'm going to leave you to think about them and bring your answers back to me.
Okay, hit me with it.
Ready? So you've heard flat Earth.
Yes.
Of course. The new one. Well, I don't know how new it is, but it's new to me. Is the hollow Earth.
Yeah, I've heard
hollow Earth conspiracy that there is another set of beings living within the Earth. That's one of my favourite ones. And the other one that I really like is that Paul McCartney is dead.
And on that bombshell,
we'll leave it right there. Thank you, Anxiety United, Billy.
Yeah, man. Check me out, anxietyunited.com. Like, I've got a website with loads of resources. If people want to learn more about anxiety, or there's mindfulness shit on there and guided meditation.
Check it out, man.
Do it. It's all free. Love it.
We love free stuff.
Subscribe to PodJack95.
Boom.